1MDB has sparked embezzlement and money laundering investigations across
one
at
of the
least
biggest
10
corruption
countries.
scandals the world has ever seen.
What may be the biggest financial scam in history.
A number of corrupt 1MDB officials treated this public trust as a personal bank account.
Follow us as we bring you into the courtroom where the biggest financial scandal in Malaysian history is being heard. By the Malaysian Insight, this is the Najib Razak 1MDB trial, and I'm Patrick Teo. Former 1MDB CEO Shahrol Halmi told the court that he had no knowledge that 1MDB's subsidiary, 1MDB Global Investments, had transferred 163 million ringgit to a company called Devonshire Funds Limited. Not only was he not aware, 1MDB's board of directors were also in the dark about the transfer. Najib's 1MDB trial resumed at the Kuala Lumpur High Court this afternoon after a 2-week break. While the trial was on break, Najib was a very busy man. Najib, who was found guilty of all 7 charges in relation to the misappropriation of 42 million ringgits in SRC International Funds, a subsidiary of 1MDB, used the break to campaign for his political party, Barisan Nasional, at the Slim by-election. His party won by a landslide. In Judge Colin Sequeira's courtroom on the 5th floor, prosecution witnesses and former 1MDB CEO Shahrol Halmi was back on the witness stand. The defense estimates that they will conclude his cross-examination this week. Defense lawyer Wan Izzuddin Wan Muhammad was cross-examining Shahrol today. He showed the witness an instruction letter that showed a 146 million ringgit debit form from 1MDB Global Investments Limited to a company called Devonshire Funds Limited. Shahrol said he had never seen the document before. Neither he nor 1MDB's board of directors approved the transaction. The witness added that he had also never heard of Devonshire Funds. Wan Izzuddin then asked Shahrol if Najib knew about the transfer. "I cannot speak for Najib," Shahrol replied. "There was no resolution by the shareholder in terms of these transactions, but as for Najib's knowledge of them, it is hard to say," he said. Would you agree that Devonshire was made up to embezzle funds from 1MDB Global Investments without the knowledge of the parent company 1MDB? The lawyer asked. Yes, Shahrol agreed. He also confirmed that there was no written approval from Najib for the transfer to Devonshire. In case you're wondering what is the connection between Devonshire and Najib, lead prosecutor Gopal Sri Ram alleged at the start of the trial that Devonshire was one of the companies that 1MDB funds had moved through before ending up in Najib's account. Devonshire transferred a total of $640 million to Tanor Finance Corporation, a shell company registered in the British Virgin Islands through which some 2.6 billion ringgit is said to have moved. From there, Tanor transferred $681 million to Najib's account. Coming back to the trial today, Wan Izzuddin once again accuses Shahrol of defrauding 1MDB and misleading Najib. Shahrol denied both accusations. The lawyer also accused Shahrol of being in cahoots with businessman Low Tech Joe and investment bankers Goldman Sachs to siphon money from 1MDB, but Shahrol denied this. After a short break, Wan Izzuddin asked Shahrol about 1MDB's initial public offering, or IPO. Shahrol said the IPO was Goldman's idea and it was to fund the acquisition of Tanjung Energy Holdings. How would the IPO help in funding of the acquisition? Wan Izzuddin asked. The IPO was a long-term business plan, Shahrol explained. This was one of the ways to repay the debts after acquiring the energy plants. The IPO was a way to generate capital, he said. The witness also clarified this was his first time getting involved in an IPO and that he wasn't directly involved in the process. And with that, Wan Izzuddin ended his questioning for today. Before proceedings adjourned, he informed the judge that the defense might finish with their cross-examination of the witness tomorrow. This podcast was brought to you by the Malaysian Insight. It is produced, written and mixed by Revati Subramaniam